So this build now has a lot more damage, probably somewhere in the range of about 3 times more. A lot more movement speed, probably about 60%, about half the chance to get hit, different defenses. I can tank a Shaper Slam now properly, consistently, and I found the mapping to be much better, but mostly this is a build I'm using to mostly farm Simulacrum with. I think this iteration of the build is a lot better. I pretty much just repathed the tree. I haven't changed the gear a lot, but the biggest change is putting this Rain of Arrows alt quality gem. It is so much better as a trigger rate skill than Blast Rain. I didn't think that it would be possible. Not only does this have a way higher hit rate, it also lingers for longer. I'm not sure where I was in the last video, but in this video I've hit the 10.0 or whatever, the 52% CDR by using a Forbidden Set, and then I'm also using a Temporal Chains Balance of Terror for another 20%, and then ending with a Benchcraft on my belt, although this could just be a boot implicit instead. Let's go over the tree again, I'll go over the gear again, and then there's a POB link if you just want to check that out. So in this new version of the tree, I've been able to drop Careful Planning entirely by losing the top part of the tree. It wasn't actually that important. The reason I had it there was basically because my leveling tree went over here, and then I didn't have that many regrets when I first changed it to build. But now the tree goes down over here, getting a much better balance of dexterity and intelligence. There's still a couple things to balance for leadership's price, just when you're setting up this kind of build, make sure you think about leadership's price at the forefront. Haven't changed the cluster yet, but now I have a Forbidden Set for like clockwork, and this is really great. It lets me hit the next CDR threshold. I'm also using this Balance of Terror to help me hit that threshold of 52% cooldown reduction. And then I managed to find a double precision Watcher's Eye. I think this was like 5 divines, so this is probably the most expensive item that's on my build right now. And then a unique jewel from the Affliction League mechanic, and this one gives you Corpse Life, phasing on kill, and crit culling. And I guess I could drop my banner in theory. It's not a bad thing to do, especially in Simulacrum, but I'm kind of lazy. And that phasing on kill enables this as my Hypnotic Eye. So I still get stun avoidance from here, but instead I have a CB implicit. Really hard to get stun avoidance, phasing on kill and CB implicit, but this one is pretty solid now. I've also moved the chest. I'm now using a synthesized chest. This gives me more attributes for higher level Dread Banner, but most importantly, it gives me Fizz Taken As an implicit. So this is like a 22% Fizz Taken As chest, while still getting relatively okay evasion. I need to redo prefixes later, and good suffixes, and not being Lightning Coil, and not being Cloak of Flames. You can still get the Evasion Mastery if you really want to take it, this Evasion Suppression Mastery. Gloves. These have changed to Enfeeble on hit. I've also dropped one curse in exchange for Frost Shield. My damage is more than high enough, and in Simulacrum having Enfeeble is not only good for damage mitigation, but further lowers your chance of getting hit. Because I'm also running a cluster shield now, I'm running a basically one prop cluster with Doriana's Lesson for Leech. There's a bunch of different ways to get Leech. I will probably go Voices later on this and get Leech from like a Megalomaniac or something. Or I don't really know where else, but then I'm using this ring now, which gives me much more res, and then my resistances look much better. I'm at 71 chaos res, which again makes him much easier, and I didn't have last night going into it. The other nice thing about this tree is that I managed to go for stun avoidance. I'm taking Perfectionist, which is also great for an extra movement speed. I'm taking the Mastery. It doesn't really matter that much. It could help in clear, but honestly, you do so much damage anyway. Should make a difference. 2 points of Heart of Oak are also really great for stun avoidance, and then the movement speed from here is quite nice, and getting bit more accuracy, dexterity, changes things up again for leaderships, but it's a helpful thing in general. The last thing I've done is add in one more charm. I got my last tendency node locked, and this one gives me even better spell suppression on full ES, which is quite often because you have Overleash and Instant Leech, and then more Corpse Life. It's really, really powerful. Like any Corpse Killer, this is, I think, one of the easiest ways to do it. This is probably where the core iterations of the build stop. I would want to recraft my bow and get like a pen bow with like DD, crit chance, attack speed, higher minion damage. And this helmet now definitely wants to go into an ES base. The biggest weakness of this build is that because my chest has bad prefixes and because my helmet is not an ES base or an ES evasion base, my ES pool is way lower than I want it to be. In theory, speccing this out for like another 10 divines, maybe 15 divines, my ES pool should be hitting around 2k and my life pool probably around 4k. And that makes it much tankier. But even right now, I feel like it's pretty solid in terms of defense. It's got like a max LE hit of like 45k. Max Fizz hits somewhere around the 20k mark, depending on what buffs you have up. If you have nothing down, that's like what these numbers coded from. If you have things up, you should be able to tank most things in the game. So if you're going to set the build now, I think this is probably the tree I'd go for. Careful planning is really annoying. Jewel sockets are more important than they ever were, especially with the addition of the new Affliction Jewel. This is where I'm at. Let's go look at something new real soon.